Satnam, as a Kundalini Yoga teacher, one of the questions that I get asked the most often is that why there's so much crying that takes place in a Kundalini Yoga class. So today I'm going to talk to you about the philosophy and spirituality of tears. What happens when you cry? So according to Kundalini Yoga, all the pain, the grief, the sorrow, everything that's negative that we experience in our lives, it becomes a part of us. It becomes a part of our body, it becomes a part of our aura, it becomes a part of our soul. And unless you undergo a process, which is in English we call it the soul detox, but the rishis had another word for it. It is called tapas, tapasya. It means sitting in fire. When you go through tapas, when you go through the process of soul detoxification, that negativity has to come out. And how do you think it comes out? It comes out in the form of tears. Now, how was my realization? How did I come to know this personally? And what was my experience with this whole philosophy? Well, I don't know what Kundalini Yoga was. I was in Rishikesh and I was doing my own thing, and I was this Iyengar yoga student, and I saw this gang of 300 people wearing white with shining skin, and I said, what is it that you guys do? They said, we do Kundalini Yoga. Why don't you try a class? I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm an Iyengar yoga student. And so I never tried it. And then, but curiosity got the better of me, and one day I went for the class. And guess what? I sit down for the class. The teacher says, put your left hand on your heart, open your right hand, and start chanting this particular mantra. And I start chanting. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm not depressed. I'm not sad. Nothing. And yet, within 2 minutes, I start crying. And I cried for the whole 2 hours that this workshop was going on for. For the full 2 hours, I cried. But when I left the class, I felt so light. I felt so blissed out that I can't even explain it. It's something that you have to experience to understand what I'm saying. Now, that is the first time that this happened to me. And then when, the experience was so good that I signed up for the teacher's training course, not because I wanted to become a teacher, but because I wanted to do this for the entire 45 days that this course was for. So I did the course, and every day of the course I cried. And every day this realization happened to me that what was the process that I was going through, and which is exactly what I want to share with you now. When we start crying because of a spiritual practice, because of a spiritual process, the first 3 chakras is what you start releasing first. The first 3 chakras are your anger, your greed, your pain, your sorrow, whatever is the garbage that you store in your life that you held up. Not only maybe from this life, but even maybe from your past lives. It's all there, a part of you now. Unless you work to take it out, it's not coming out. And this is a process. When you use a process, any process, it could be Kundalini Yoga, it could be Sufi whirling, it could be anything that you want. As long as, because of the process, there's at the end, you are suddenly finding yourself crying and you're finding yourself, full of tears. What is really happening is the first 3 chakras, you're releasing all of that garbage. And that is what I call the first stage of enlightenment. The second stage of enlightenment is when you continue with the process, you're continuing with your Kundalini Yoga, you're continuing with whatever spiritual process you're a part of, and then your heart chakra bursts open. And now you're crying because you're feeling so much love for everything that's around you. You're feeling so much love for this world, for this planet, for the trees, for the birds, for human beings, for animals, for everything. And you become like this fountain of love that's flowing, and the experience is so beautiful that you're crying because it's so beautiful. You can't believe that it's happening to you, and you feel so blessed that it's happening to you. And then you do some more spiritual practice, you do some more Kundalini Yoga classes, you go through some more tapasya and whatever. And then your throat chakra bursts open. That's the third stage of enlightenment. Now you're crying because you suddenly realize that your whole life is not your life anymore. Your life is a life of service. And now you're crying because you're feeling so blessed to be in that position to understand the meaning of it. That you're not living for yourself. Whatever you're doing in your life is you're doing for others. Your life does not belong to your wife, to your children, to your parents, to your friends, not to yourself, to nobody. Your life is in the service of humanity. And now you're crying because you feel so blessed that you're a part of that. The opening of the Vishuddhi chakra. The next stage of enlightenment is when your third eye opens up, your Ajna chakra opens up. Now you're crying because when you look, you're seeing the light everywhere. You're seeing the matrix decoded. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Lucy or even the Matrix, where this guy is looking and you can see that the whole matrix and the codes everywhere, and you understand what this Srishti is all about, what this life is all about. And you're understanding it so clearly. You're looking at it and you're seeing how beautiful it is. Now you're crying because of that realization. Then you do some more Kundalini Yoga, you do some more spiritual practice, whatever you're doing, and then suddenly you come to the 8th stage of enlightenment, where your crown chakra opens, your Sahasra chakra opens up. Now you stop crying, because now you become a part of the light. So it's a process of healing. Crying is a process of healing. You're healing your first 3 chakras. And then as you graduate, you open your Anahata chakra, your Vishuddhi chakra, your third eye, your Sahasra chakra. So when you're moving up in the process of crying is just the release. And it's a beautiful experience. One of the things that I've written about in my book is about how we tell our children you should not cry, especially boys. Boys don't cry. And it's the worst thing you can do to your child. So I'm going to end it by telling you that crying is a beautiful thing. It's a process. It's a healing process. Don't shy away from it. Only understand that there are 2 kinds of crying. One is the spiritual crying, when you're healing and you're evolving. At the end of it, you're going to glow, you're going to radiate, and you're going to become beautiful and all of that. And the second kind of crying is the kind of crying which my aunt used to cry. If I would go to her house to have lunch or dinner, and then I would be eating, and suddenly she would start crying, and she'd say, "Oh, the prices of onions have now become 8 rupees a kilo, and look at life." And no, that's not going to heal you. You're just crying, and you're just suffering, and you're part of that misery that you're in, and that's not the healing process. The healing process is when you're crying because you've been moved. It could be just the sight of a beautiful sunset. It could be because you just heard a beautiful piece of music. That happens to me a lot. I could be walking in Berlin, going somewhere for dinner to meet like a lot of friends, and suddenly I'll hear some sound coming from behind the church, and there'll be this little girl playing the violin, and I'll just say, okay, I'll stand here for 2 minutes. But within those 2 minutes, I'll be starting to cry because it just moves you. That music, the flute, the violin, these things just get to me. There's a lot of music we have in Kundalini Yoga by singers like Snatam Kaur, Niranjan Kaur, Deva Premal, which just moves me to tears whenever I listen to it. And that is the healing kind of crying. Understand the difference. Understand the different chakras you're crying from. And the next time you cry, watch yourself. If you like this video, there's many more in this series. They're all on YouTube on a channel called Anahata Retreat. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get more of these videos which keep coming out every week. And I'll see you soon. Satnam.